Hey there, all my fellow homo and trans and pan and bi and other asexuals, non-binary people, everybody. Sorry. If I forgot anybody, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm Rob Sagimura, and this is the Gay Bear Game Cave, where I play games bad, and I look bad doing it. Tonight I plan to look especially bad, because I'm playing a class that has not only had a pretty significant revamp recently, especially or specifically in Endwalker, and also every expansion pack, but one that I don't fully understand, and this is the monk, who looks great. It's got that chest tattoo that only appears when I'm in this outfit. I am wearing a few different sets of artifact armor to really let's just look at him. He looks great. Look at this hat. You would wear that. Who doesn't want a brain brooch? We are going to take a look at the class as it has changed, and it's now, as I understand it, extremely unparsable, inexplicable opener. A lot of abilities have changed, and I don't understand them at full. Specifically, Anatman, I think, is used under very specific circumstances. But we're going to take a look together. Now, like all of the classes all of the melee classes in Final Fantasy XIV, Monk is built around a series of combos. You want to use weapon skills and specific combinations, and it will tell you what those combinations are in order to maximize your damage. What makes the Monk a little bit different is that instead of having set combos, using a weapon skill puts you into a stance or form, and being in that form is going to allow you to use abilities that require that form to use. What does that mean? Well, this is what it means. Let me get up to this dummy. And that's our first ability we're going to learn, which is Thunderclap, which I absolutely love. Boom. Boom. I'm out of charges now, so you don't have to see that anymore. You can use it on allies. It's great. I overuse it in content. I'm just always thunderclapping around. So we're going to use our first weapon skill here, which is the first one I always use in combat, which is Dragon Kick. Dragon Kick is going to put us into Raptor form. Another ability that'll put us into Raptor form is Boot Shine. And then same for our AoE, Shadow of the Destroyer will put us into Raptor form. Raptor form will last for 30 seconds, and what it will do is it will allow us to cast Raptor form abilities. So specifically, Twin Snakes. I'm going to just use Formless Fist here, which allows you to use an ability from any form. True Strike. And then 4-point Fury. Oh, also, the monk abilities look great. With the exception of just one, which is Snap Punch. Looks stupid. I don't know. Again, using an ability in Raptor form will drop you into Coral form. Coral form. I'm going to say Coral. Coral. I don't know what I'm going to say now. Coral? The show has ended. It's going to drop you into Coral form. And what Coral form will allow you to do is cast those abilities. So I have Demolish, or I have, again, Snap Punch. And then lastly, I have Rock Breaker, which is also just okay looking, I think. I don't know, I'm being too hard on Rock Breaker. Look at it. And you see that using a Coral form ability will put me into Oppo. You can always use abilities from Oppo form, but the problem with it is that, or the addition to it is that you get special abilities by using those abilities under Oppo form. So Oppo form for Boot Shine guarantees that it's going to be a critical hit. For Dragon Kick, it's going to grant Leaden Fist, which we're going to go over in a second. Basically, it boosts the damage of Boot Shine, turns it from an ability to a great ability. And then the last one down here is Shadow of the Destroyer, right? In Oppo form, it's also going to grant a critical hit. And here's the deal. You want critical hits as a monk. Critical hits are very, very important as a monk, and we're going to see why a little bit later. So your rotation is really based off of managing these forms and using the right ability at the right time. Because, for instance, Dragon Kick has a buff it grants to your other Oppo form when you are in Oppo form when you use it. So if you can, you always want to cast Dragon Kick when Oppo, and when I hit, we'll see that you get the buff. You see there it is, Leaden Fist. But I can't just cast Boot Shine now with Leaden Fist, or I can, but it'll do more damage if I get back around to Oppo. This is important because now that I'm in Raptor form, I want to cast Twin Snakes. Twin Snakes is going to give me Discipline Fist, which used to be called something else. I think it used to be called Twin Snakes. And that gives me a flat damage buff. I want to, what does it say? Yeah, increases damage dealt by 15%. Pretty significant. Being in Coral form is going to allow me to use Demolish, and Demolish is, where is Demolish? I feel like it's here and I'm not seeing it. Is going to add a dot, which is still weird, but makes all the difference now. I will also say this, these all have directionals. If you're a master at the game, you're memorizing the directionals. If not, you're spending most of the time behind the enemy enemies. So just keep that in mind. There's directionals for almost all these abilities, or maybe all of these abilities. I'm not going to use them because I rarely use them, and I know it drops my DPS, but it is extremely difficult for me to remember when I'm playing 19 classes. And also I've been playing the Monk since the beta, and it has changed so many times. Like Boot Shine used to have a directional, True Strike used to have one. I don't even know what does and doesn't. Snap Punch does, and it's different than Demolish. I guess I should remember the Snap Punch one because that's pretty significant. But in any case, you want to make sure that you're using certain abilities at certain times. Specifically, you want to always have Leaden Fist up if you can. You always want to have Discipline Fist up. You always want to have Discipline Fist up, and you always want to have Demolish up on a single target. Is it just called Demolish still? It's not, it doesn't have some fancy other name. Oh, Internal Bleeding. Wow, that's not good. It's a little harsh. So it probably comes without saying that your opener is always going to be Dragon Kick to Twin Snakes to Demolish. You need to have those up. On top of that, though, these don't do as much damage, and the argument could be made for Demolish, as the abilities on the left side of my bar, which are Boot Shine, which you see that's actually a pretty good chunk there for combo ability, True Strike, and Snap Punch. So when you want to do damage, you're using these three, Boot Shine, True Strike, and Snap Punch. But in order to get the most damage out of them, you need to also be using Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, and Demolish. So there's a real flow to it. You're basically not going to use the same combo in a row. And you see that Demolish and Disciplined Fist have a very short runtime on them. And so getting back around to your Dragon Kick combo is pretty important. But then again, just because I cast Dragon Kick doesn't mean I have to cast Twin Snakes. I can use True Strike and Snap Punch at this point, or I can even go and use Raptor. It's flexible. There's more to it, though. First of all, every time you score a critical hit or during other circumstances, you're going to get a chakra opening, and that's this bar right here. I hate the cursor. Why do I even have it? I should get rid of cursors. Using this is just an off-the-global cooldown damage ability. Unfortunately, and this is really too bad, but the AoE one looks so much cooler. You can use this button again to build up 5 chakras, though that's generally a waste of time in combat. Not always, but generally. The AoE version looks like this. Cool as hell. But that's one of the reasons why Dragon Kick, being in Oppo form, is so important. Because you're basically going to get a free chakra open every time you cast Boot Shine in Oppo form, but also you're going to get that damage buff from Dragon Kick. You're guaranteeing yourself one of your highest abilities is going to critical. And grant you an open chakra. So, super important. We're seeing where this is confusing already. However, it's going to get more confusing. You have an ability here that you can't use right now, called Masterful Blitz. We've already seen how the forms are important because they allow you to use different abilities. However, there are two abilities, like I said, that will let you use whatever ability in any form. First is Form Shift, and the second is Perfect Balance. Perfect Balance is kind of the crux of how the class works now. Here's why. Perfect Balance is going to give you a buff that allows you to use an ability from any of the forms at any time. This is great for flexibility, like if I really, really need to get Twin Snakes out first, I can do that, but then I need to have my Leaden Fist up from Dragon Kick, but I also need to have my Dot, so I need Demolish. So it lets me use all of those. But then you see now I've got this icon up, and that icon is for an ability called Rising Phoenix, which is only available when I have hit the right abilities in order, and we'll talk about that. And the Rising Phoenix looks like this, and it does a boat load. And it also opened this little doohickey over here. Is it going to say what it's called? I believe that's the Lunar Nandi, or the Solar. That's probably the Solar Nandi, isn't it? These are Solar Nadi. These are new. Opens the Solar Nadi. So it should have called it Astral Umble. And then it's going to let me use an ability from whatever form. So yes, you use Perfect Balance to sort of set up whatever kind of combo you want. So in this case, using an Oppo form, a Coral form, and a Raptor form ability or Raptor then Coral, has given me three different of what they're called Beast Chakras, right? Isn't that what they're called? Let's see. Yeah, Beast Chakras. Sorry, these are all very new. And that allows me to cast Rising Phoenix. So 3 Beast Chakras, Rising Phoenix. I am almost exclusively using Perfect Balance to cast Rising Phoenix with Dragon Kick, Twin Snakes, and Demolish. Twin Snakes is always first priority because you want to have the damage buff up. I always want Leaden Fist, and I always want Demolish up. There. Rising Phoenix. There's other abilities that you can cast with your Masterful Blitz, though. So let's say I have my Leaden Fist already. I know the next ability I want to use is Boot Shine. The Boot Shine does more under Oppo form. Well, there's a way to maximize that, and that's with Perfect Balance. So now that I have Leaden Fist in Oppo form, or the equivalent of Oppo form, I'm going to cast Boot Shine. But I can actually get another Leaden Fist by going straight to Dragon Kick and getting back to Boot Shine for another chunk of damage. So and remember, Dragon Kick and Boot Shine are in the same form. They're both in Oppo form. So that's going to give me the ability of casting 3 in the same form to cast Elixir Field, which you might remember used to just be its own button. Still looks great though, so who cares? And again, I'm going to have whatever ability I want. So now that I've opened the Lunar Nadi from Elixir Field and the Solar Nadi from Phoenix, I just forgot what it was called. Rising Phoenix. I'm not good at games or recording things. This is Gay Bear Game Cave. We record things badly and look bad doing it. Now that I've got each of the 2 Nadis, well, who cares, right? Not who cares, because when you have a Nadi open of each one, when you cast Perfect Balance, you're going to get access to another ability in your Masterful Blitz, which is Phantom Rush. Is Phantom Rush worth it? Well, yes, for 2 reasons. First of all, it's 1,000 potency, and it does strike AoE, but also, it looks like this. Ugh, it's great. Who doesn't love that? Perfect ability, absolutely wonderful. 10 out of 10 stars. Couldn't be happier. So, you want to use Perfect Balance basically on cooldown. You always want to be using it because, again, you can use it in AoE. These abilities still have form requirements, so you use it in AoE, and Rising Phoenix, Elixir Field, and Phantom Rush all do AoE damage. Just want to make sure with Phantom Rush real quick. Yeah. So they make just as much sense. So you always want to be using Perfect Balance to at the very least open Nadis, but also because you want to build up to oh my gosh, I'm having total brain empty time. Phantom Rush. The thing about it is how to do it when. Always need to make sure Demolish is up on a single target. Always need to have Discipline Fist up. So if you have the opportunity to cast the Raptor form ability and you don't have Discipline Fist up, you need to prioritize that. That's always top priority. And so everything should always be moving towards that. It's the other abilities that make it more difficult. When am I prioritizing Snap, Punch, and True Strike? A little bit more difficult. Not as important most of the time, but they do build up. Using them at the right time is a DPS increase. And so you want to learn that. I haven't learned that 100%. So don't look to me. These are the basics, as far as I know. There's a lot of other abilities we want to learn about. So first of all, Brotherhood. Brotherhood is a great cooldown ability. What's the timing on that? It's 120 seconds? Yeah. Basically, it is going to increase damage dealt, and it gives a chance to open an extra chakra. So when you have Brotherhood up and you cast an ability at level 90, you're going to just open a chakra, even if it's not a critical. It used to increase critical strike chance, I think, instead of damage. When you are in group content, you're going to be casting it on the people around you at the same time. It's going to give you more opportunities to cast the Forbidden Chakra and Enlightenment, your single target and AoE abilities, respectively. It doesn't do the most damage, but it doesn't have to because it's completely off the global cooldown. Anatman, which is complicated, and again, I don't fully understand it. Extends the duration of Discipline Fist and your present form to maximum and halts their expiration. So if you've got Discipline Fist up and your form up and you want to maintain those and you have to move away from the boss or there's a pause for some reason, there's a lot of examples of that, of like long animations and stuff, and especially in this expansion pack, that's when you want to use a Anatman because it's going to hold that stuff up. I'm not really using it so much. I know that means I'm probably a bad gamer, but whatever. While I'm here, just an ability that's kind of weird that is still on the monk bar, and it's just because it's always been in a Final Fantasy game, which is Mantra. Actually, this one here, Second Wind, used to also be on the monk bar, but it's not anymore. There was this whole time where everybody had abilities that they could give to other classes, and so you wanted to get to a certain level in Marauder so you could learn Bloodbath, and then you wanted a certain level and you had to get to a certain level in Gladiator in order to learn Provoke, in order to be any type of tank. It was a whole thing. It's not that way anymore. They're just called role abilities. But anyways, I digress. Mantra is basically going to increase HP recovery via healing actions for yourself and nearby party members. It used to be targeted to a single member. I just use it when I'm hurt and the healers aren't paying attention to me. But I usually use it and then I use Chakra. It lasts for 15 seconds. It's a great way when you're hurt and you know you're about to get a heal to really increase the effectiveness of it. Great utility ability. And the monks have a fair amount of utility, even though a lot of it is self-serving. Some more abilities we want to look at. Specifically the 3 riddles: Riddle of Fire, Riddle of Earth, and Riddle of Wind. I like the flavor on it because it says while you're contemplating the riddle, you get a buff. Riddle of Fire is just flat out going to increase your damage. I believe it is 5%, 10%, 15. Wow. Flat out going to increase your damage. When are you using it? You're using it when you know you're about to do a chunk of damage. So generally, since it's 20 seconds is pretty good. Generally when I'm using it is when I've got Perfect Balance up and I'm going to go into my Leaden Fist switch up. So I'm just going to perform this so you can see what I'm talking about. So okay, so I've got Leaden Fist up now. Under this circumstance, I really should have that. What I would do here is I would hit Riddle of Fire, hit my Boot Shine, Perfect Balance, because that's also off the global cooldown. Dragon Kick, Boot Shine, hit that, get in there, and then Phantom Rush while I'm still under the Riddle of Fire, because a 15% damage increase on our highest potency ability with 1,000 potency is 150 potency. That's not a little. If you can get Brotherhood in there too. I forget what's the bonus on that. 5% too. Yeah, if you can get Brotherhood in there, it doesn't hurt. Some other abilities. The Riddle of Wind is just going to increase, I believe it's your auto attack delay. I haven't... It makes you attack faster, which is great. It's just a DPS increase, but like... I don't know what the utility of it is. It's great. It's interesting. It just used to be a movement speed increase. But with Thunderclap, you don't need that. The Thunderclap equivalent used to do damage too, and it didn't need to do that either. Oh, I can see some uses for it. Specifically because you can't cast Perfect Balance out of combat. Sometimes it would be nice, but that's beside the point. Then you couldn't use it on allies. I get the whole thing. But then the last one is Riddle of Earth. Riddle of Earth has 2 functions, I think. It used to. Let's see. Oh no, it used to remove your directionals, which was real weird. But you get stacks of Riddle of Earth, 3 stacks, reduces damage taken. I don't understand. Does it still reduce your directional? Maybe? It doesn't say that in the tooltip. Oh, effect ends when time expires upon the expiration of 3 weapon skills. I use it when I'm about to get hit with something. And in fact, since you've got 3 different charges of it, just use it whenever you're about to get hit. Prevent yourself from getting hit. I think that's a general rule for all of life. So I have other abilities on my bar up here that are not nearly as important. I have Arm's Length, preventing knockback and draw-in effects. True North, I'm barely using them. The one that has actually played most important is Leg Sweep from this and Bloodbath, but Leg Sweep is important because there's quite a few actually interruptible abilities now. And for instance, when you're in Catesio's Arborea, interrupting that True Bravery can really make a difference in that final boss encounter. But all that being said, the monk is complicated now, and it used to be very much a meathead class. I mean, he looks like a meathead, right? Oh, there's really the last important thing is we're going to reset his enmity and just take him out of combat. And come on, look at how much of a meathead he is. His head is shawarma, meathead. But the class really requires a lot more thought and planning now, even more than it did in Shadowbringers, which did actually complicate it a lot more. Generating your beast chakras at the right time and getting your solar and lunar nadi is going to make a big difference. Now, there's probably those of you out there that realize that I haven't mentioned one of the other potential combinations, which is if you don't do 3 different beast chakras and you don't do all 3 of the same beast chakra, what does it do? It does an ability called Celestial Revolution, which looks fine, does crappy damage in a single target. It's kind of a soft incentive to remind you, don't do that. The problem is that it means that you have to execute things perfectly. And so when you're playing your monk, it's really about sort of learning the flow, learning the techniques. And I feel like it actually does represent how the martial arts are sort of supposed to be understood, is, what form goes after what form and what do you use when. Altogether, though, I will tell you... Oh, I almost forgot. One last ability that I use too often. I don't want to forget about this. Six-Sided Star. It is a long cooldown afterwards and increases your movement ability, which is funny because you already move fast, but then you trot. Six-Sided Star. The problem is, it looks great, so I use it too much. But if you got a couple global cooldown or off global cooldowns that you need to cast afterwards, just use it. It's fun. But the monk is extremely satisfying in Endwalker. You've got great looking abilities that do a chunk of damage. You have a lot to learn, even if you've been playing it before, and it's parsing well, from my understanding. It's a lot of fun to play. Very, very high movement. You already have good movement speed. Your global cooldown is fast. You're going to be cycling through abilities really quickly. Those of you who remember how it used to play, there's no maintaining Grease Lightning at all anymore. It's just there, so you're just faster. It is absolutely a joy to play. And it offers new challenges every time you're playing it, because you drop out of combat for a little bit. You want to keep your disciplined fist up. You have to get back into that boss and hit him, where you have to use a Knotmon. But it's how long do you have, and how do you keep yourself defended if you can't use any other abilities? There's a lot of things to consider, and that is the type of thing that makes for a good class in Final Fantasy XIV. Is we all know what the perfect rotation is, but we're never going to get to hit that. So when you're using an imperfect rotation, how are you still maximizing what you're doing and keeping yourself alive? If you're looking for that, Monk has got you in spades. So, as always, thank you for watching. I'm Rob Sagimura, and this has been Gay Bear Game Cave. I almost said the name wrong. That's fine. I don't edit these, so just enjoy the mistakes. It's very rustic. I'm Rob Sagimura. This has been Gay Bear Game Cave, where I play games bad and I look bad doing it. Thank you.